Okay, so imagine this. A world literally powered by magic. But, that magic, it's fading, dying out slowly.
Yeah, it's a really evocative starting point.
Yeah.
We're diving into Lumina Valley today. Its life source, the Whispering Spring, it's losing its power.
It sounds pretty desperate, and our sources for this deep dive are excerpts from Lyra and the Heartstone of Lumina, a really beautiful and kind of surprising story.
It really is. It's about a community-facing collapse, sure. But what's fascinating, right, is the solution they eventually find.
So what's our mission here? What are we digging into?
Well, we want to look past just the plot, understand the real challenge Lumina Valley faced. It wasn't just, less magic. Maybe it was about not understanding how the magic worked anymore. And then there's Lyra, how this one person goes on this quest based on like a totally forgotten secret. And it's a quest that reveals a whole different kind of strength.
Not swords and shields, then.
Not at all. More about perception, wisdom, connection, things like that.
And Lyra herself is key. The source is really stressed. She's not your typical hero, not a warrior, not even an elder, just a quiet girl who really loves her home.
Yeah, feels small, maybe a bit helpless at first, which makes what she does later even more, striking.
So let's paint that picture. Lumina Valley before the fading started. What was it like?
Oh, vibrant. The sources describe soft green hills, flowers everywhere, rivers winding through. And the Whispering Spring, it glowed. Made the land rich, peaceful. It was the heart of everything.
But then, things started to change, subtly at first.
Exactly. A sadness spreading. The spring's glow dimmed, the water slowed down. One source uses the phrase, a faint sigh. Crops struggled, leaves lost their color. You can just feel the worry growing among the people.
And Lyra noticed this more keenly than others.
That's what the sources suggest. While everyone felt worried, she saw the specifics. Like the glowworms weren't as bright. The morning mist felt heavier, lingered longer. She felt the valley's sickness inside her, almost personally.
That connection, that deep observation, it sets her apart right away.
It really does. Meanwhile, the elders, the leaders, they were trying everything they knew.
The traditional stuff.
Yeah, meetings, talking about the old days, legends, digging up forgotten rituals near the spring. But the sources are quite clear. None of it worked. Nothing.
There's that line about feeling the chill of coming winter in their very souls. You can almost feel that despair lifting off the page. The old ways just weren't enough.
Right, total despair setting in. But Lyra, she held on to this belief. There had to be another way. Something they were missing, something deeper.
And this leads her somewhere unexpected.
Yes, to the Silent Library, a place almost forgotten itself. Oldest building, small stone house, dusty shelves, full of scripts nobody read anymore. Very few visitors.
Kind of symbolic, isn't it? A forgotten place holding a forgotten answer.
Exactly, and there, tucked away, maybe behind a loose shelf, she finds it. The ancient scroll.
Not just old paper, though.
No, it's described as this strange, smooth material tied with faded silver thread. It feels significant,
And this is where things get really interesting, right? The scroll itself.
Oh yeah, because when Lyra touches it, it's not like just reading. The symbols,
Yeah.
they shift. They actually form words she can suddenly understand. It's like the scroll is teaching her its own language, right there.
Wow, so it's an active connection, not just passive information.
Precisely. A direct transfer of understanding. And the secret it reveals is huge.
Which is?
That the spring's power is pure life essence. And crucially, it had faded before, long ago. The solution wasn't about fixing the spring directly.
But finding something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seek the Heartstone of Lumina, it says. The spring's twin, hidden deep in the earth and protected by the 4 ancient trials.
Okay, 4 ancient trials. That sounds like a proper quest, but you mentioned they weren't typical trials.
Right. The scroll is very specific. These aren't tests of, brute strength or fighting skill. They're tests of wisdom, observation, compassion, and inner light.
Inner light, what does that mean exactly?
Well, the path requires a pure heart, true understanding. It signals right away that the answer lies in a different kind of quality, a different approach than just, forcing things.
So Lyra takes this incredible find, this living scroll, back to the elders. How did that go down?
You can imagine. First, wonder. This glowing scroll. But then, doubt creeps in fast. Elder Kale apparently dismissed it. Old legends, just stories. They were grounded in what they knew, and what they knew wasn't working.
But Lyra didn't back down.
No. The sources say there was a new kind of fire in her voice. That quiet girl found her conviction. She argued the valley was calling them to look deeper, not just try harder at the same old things, implying their efforts failed because the approach was wrong.
That's a powerful argument. Look deeper, not just harder.
It is. And maybe because they had nothing left to lose, maybe seeing the genuine hope in her eyes, they reluctantly agreed.
So she goes, driven by love for her home, finding this courage she probably didn't know she had.
Yeah, and she sets off on this quest that will basically demand she embodies the very qualities the trials represent.
Okay, so the 4 ancient trials. Let's walk through them. The scroll hinted they were about deeper qualities.
Right. First up, the Path of Tangled Roots. This is in the Thornwood. Imagine a super dense forest, roots like snakes everywhere, almost no sunlight getting through. Elder Kale had warned, her force won't work here. The forest just pushes back.
So, hacking through is out. What does she do?
What's telling is her approach. She doesn't charge in, she stands still, listens, closes her eyes. She's trying to understand the forest, not conquer it. Thinking about how plants grow, how they find their way.
Looking for the path of the forest itself offers, maybe.
Exactly that. She looks for the natural spaces between the roots, little archways formed by how things grew. Noticing how plants bend towards tiny bits of light, feeling for softer earth where water might flow underneath.
So specific examples.
Yeah, the sources mention her gently untangling vines instead of breaking them, following a tiny stream that flowed under the roots, even crawling through small openings. She finds the path by working with nature's patterns.
Patience, humility, observation, not force.
Precisely. She learns the first lesson. Understand, don't just impose your will. And she emerges into a clearing, having passed the first test, by seeing what others would just fight against.
Okay, trial 2. The River of Echoes. What's that like?
It's this wide, slow river, but it's shrouded in this thick, swirling mist. You can't see the other side. And every single sound you make just echoes chaotically, bouncing off everything, totally disorienting.
Sounds impossible to navigate. What was the scroll's clue?
The river hides its secrets in sound, only true listeners. So it strips away sight, forces reliance on hearing. But not just any hearing.
How does she figure it out? She tries making a sound.
Yeah, throws a pebble, confirms the chaos of the echoes. Then she starts trying to focus differently, maybe on the first echo that comes back, trying to filter out the rest, learning to tell the difference between sounds like a deep, hollow echo versus a sharp, quick one.
But it's more than just her own sounds, isn't it?
Yes, that's the breakthrough. She starts hearing other things. Soft gurgles from the water, faint chirps, hidden creatures living in the mist. She shifts from just navigating her own noise to listening to the river's own life.
And that leads her to...
a faint, regular sound. Drip, drip, drip. Very subtle. She follows it.
and finds.
A small, blind river bird, just calmly drinking where water is dripping naturally. This bird survives purely by sound.
The insight. Be like the bird.
Exactly. Listen to the subtle, constant sounds underneath the chaos. The whispers of the water itself, the splash of a fish, distant calls. Those are the real guides. She crosses by truly, deeply listening, past the second trial through attentiveness.
Incredible. Okay, trial 3, the Cave of Forgotten Lights. Sounds ominous.
It is. A huge cave mouth in a mountain, and inside, absolute darkness, pitch black. And the rule is, no torches.
No torches? How is that even possible? What's the clue?
The clue is intriguing. Light is not seen, but felt. Only those who seek its hidden glimmer. It's just light is there, just not in the way you'd expect.
So Lyra steps into total blackness. Must have been terrifying.
Oh yeah. Can't see your hand in front of her face. Fear is natural. But she remembers the scroll. Light is always present. The challenge isn't to make light, but to find the light that's already there, however faint.
So how does she find it? What kind of light?
She starts searching for the tiniest things, little starkles. Turns out they're tiny crystals, barely thumbnail-sized, catching faint residual light from somewhere. She finds patches of bioluminescent moss glowing fungi like little lanterns.
Wow. Using other senses, too.
Definitely. Learning to read shapes from shadows, feeling air currents that hint at passages, listening for dripping water that might indicate hidden chambers. She discovers routes lit by starlight filtering through tiny cracks, or by minerals in the rock that glow faintly.
So the lesson is, even in the deepest dark, light exists if you look hard enough, or maybe look differently.
Exactly. It might be hidden, unconventional, small.
Yeah.
But it's there, waiting for someone willing to seek it out, to perceive it. She emerges into dim twilight, guided by light she had to actively find and feel.
3 trials down. What's the last one? The Chamber of Silent Guardians.
Right. She enters a large, circular room, smooth, dark stone, lined with many tall, imposing statues of ancient guardians. Calm faces, very still. But there's no obvious task, no puzzle to solve.
What does the scroll say about this one?
The final clue is perhaps the most profound. Let your truest nature speak. The path forward is not found through action, but through compassion.
Through compassion, not action. How does that work?
Well, Lyra walks among these statues. They feel ancient, maybe a bit sad, covered in dust. She thinks about her people, their struggles. There's this sense of forgotten history, guardians not really seen or honored anymore.
And she notices something.
Yes, one statue tucked away at the back, more neglected than the others, really covered in dust, have a crack in it. It looks, well, lonely.
Yeah.
Forgotten.
And she feels something for it.
She does, and this is the key. There's no instruction, but she acts purely from her heart, her truest nature, as the scroll hinted. She takes her own tunic and gently starts cleaning the dust off the forgotten statue's face. She traces the crack, whispers something like, "You are not forgotten." She doesn't just do a quick wipe, she cleans the whole statue patiently, polishing it. A simple act of kindness, respect for something neglected.
And that's the action.
It's an action born of compassion, not strategy. And that's what unlocks the path. A soft, warm light starts to glow from that clean statue. It pulses, spreads to all the others, making them glow faintly too.
So the whole chamber lights up.
In a soft way, yes. And the combined light gathers in the center of the room, and a section of the wall starts to shimmer, then fades, revealing an opening.
Unbelievable. The path forward revealed by genuine kindness.
Exactly. Acknowledging and caring for the forgotten. That was the final test.
So she steps through the opening. What does she find?
The air changes immediately. Feels different, tingling with energy. A short tunnel, lit by that soft light, leads her into a small hidden cavern. And right there, in the middle,
The Heartstone of Lumina.
the Heartstone. It's described as a crystal about the size of a human heart, glowing with this intense, pure light, vibrant green, like the valley's life force.
And she feels a connection.
Instantly. Powerful, like she belongs there. A deep sense of peace washes over her. It feels like the valley's own heart recognizing her, responding to her journey. The Heartstone even glows brighter as she approaches.
Does she just take it?
She reaches out, lifts it. And it's surprisingly light, almost wants to float. She holds it close, she found it. Not through force, but through all those other qualities. Perception, listening, seeking hidden light, and compassion.
The journey back must have felt different.
The sources say it did, easier, like the valley itself was helping her now. The thornwood seemed to part for her, the river whispered directions, the cave path felt clearer. The land recognized the Heartstone she carried.
And she gets back to Lumina Valley.
It's sunset. The people are gathered by the dying spring, their faces etched with worry. And then they see her, this quiet girl they knew, now holding this incredibly radiant, glowing Heartstone. Imagine the gasp.
What does she do?
She walks straight to the spring. It's barely a flicker now. She kneels down, places the Heartstone right beside it, and touches the misty water.
Oh.
Magic. Pure magic. A tiny ripple starts. The Heartstone pulses, faster and brighter. The spring's faint whisper. It grows into a gentle hum, then builds into this vibrant, joyous song.
Wow.
The water starts glowing that intense living green again, flowing with new strength. The air fills with shimmering motes of light, life essence pouring back.
And the valley responds.
Instantly, visibly. Brown leaves turn green on the branches. Flowers that were drooping stand tall and burst into bloom. Crops in the field swell, looking rich again. It's an immediate, glorious transformation.
The people must have been ecstatic.
From worry to wonder, then just pure joy. Laughter fills the air, something they hadn't heard in so long.
And Lyra, what happens to her? How do the elders react now?
She just stands there, watching her home come back to life. The elders come forward, but not with authority now. Their eyes are filled with respect, gratitude. Elder Kale actually kneels, says something like, "You have saved us, wisdom we had forgotten."
So the journey changed her, but it also changed how they saw wisdom itself.
Absolutely. Lyra wasn't that quiet, helpless girl anymore. She'd faced these deep challenges, learned to see beyond the obvious, listen to the subtle, find light in darkness, act from the heart. She understood the valley's spirit because the trials tested exactly that connection.
And she becomes the guardian of the Whispering Spring.
Yes, not by title initially, but by earned wisdom. She guides her people, helps them live in harmony again, reminds them to listen to the world, to remember that the most important things are often hidden, found not by force, but by a pure heart, an open mind, seeing the world differently.
And Lumina Valley flourishes, a testament to her quiet courage.
It really is.
So, if we pull back from the story, What's the big takeaway here, the core message from these sources?
I think it's about how saving this world, this valley, wasn't about grand, heroic actions in the usual sense. No big battles, no commanding presence. It was achieved through quiet observation, really listening to things others miss, seeking out hidden possibilities, light and darkness, and fundamentally simple, genuine compassion, caring for what's overlooked.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
No.
How often do we focus on the loud and obvious solutions, maybe? This story really encourages you, the listener, to perhaps look for those quieter signals in your own life. Listen more deeply. Maybe consider if a small act of kindness could open up a path you hadn't seen.
Yeah, it challenges our assumptions about where real strength and effective solutions come from.
So the final thought to leave you with, in your own world, your own challenges, where might you be overlooking the forgotten light? Or maybe missing the subtle sound that could guide you towards something truly extraordinary?